Hello and welcome to post-match reaction to South Africa versus New Zealand, brought to you by DrivingMaul, and welcome to the Rugby Chat podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe through your favourite podcasting app, and if you're on Apple Podcasts, then please do give us a review as well. Also, don't forget you can always get hold of me on @DrivingMaul on Twitter. So. Wow, what a game. The Springboks certainly have restored some pride with that 1-point loss. The score in the end was 24-25. And yes, the All Blacks needed every single one of those points. Which goes out to say, I guess. Early doors, the Springboks set piece was going well, but they were a bit inaccurate with the line out. When the Boks did try to mix things up with a chip over the top, the ball went out to Rieko Ioane, and he just dropped the ball over the line after he put it on his back. It was so close. At the time, the commentators mentioned that Jantjies was getting put out on the wings to defend, and that against someone like Ioane, that was something that the All Blacks might be looking to exploit. In the end, that didn't happen too often. They didn't really kind of manage to exploit that in the Boks defensive line, but it was definitely something that early on we saw and thought might become a bit of an issue. On the whole, though, yeah, tackling was a problem for the Boks in this game. They were at 60-odd% at halftime. They did improve that and bring it back to 36%, but still, there was a chunk of tackles missed in this game by them. Now, on the whole, that didn't impact them. It was mainly on the counter that it was a problem. But we will see. In the sort of live chat here, Conor Buckley saying South Africa should have won. I don't agree with. I'm not sure I can agree with that. It could have gone either way, but I'm not sure that they should have won it personally. It definitely was a close game, and in that first half, the big problem that the Boks had was really with kicking the ball too much. The Boks were kicking it like twice as much as the All Blacks were in that first half, allowing the All Blacks to counterattack, but they didn't manage to take take advantage of that really too much. And the first try came from a Barrett charge down of Jantjies, who was kicking way too low, and there was question there, and the commentator was talking about did Crotty have control? You don't need control. You need to have contact with the ball, and you need to have downward pressure. And there was no clear break of contact, and so it really was it was a try in that. So there we go. The other big thing about that first half was the length of time we had. It was a 50-minute first half. We had 10 minutes worth of overtime, and I really thought we would see the players tiring in the second half. We didn't, which was a bit of a surprise. It was because, as I say, there was a lot of play, and they did go on. Some comments there. First try was not a try. Disagree. It wasn't a clear. There wasn't a clear gap between the player's hand and the ball on any of the camera shots. Therefore, you can't say he lost the ball. It wasn't a knock-on, and therefore it was a try. We will come on to the red card later. I like to try and run through the chronologically of the game. Otherwise, we kind of forget what happened in the first half, and it's good to see that. Christopher in the chat there says exactly the game this championship needed, and it is the game that this championship needed. We need this championship to be competitive. We need competitive games, and that's what people have been missing out of. And it was competitive in the first half and the second half. In the first half, though, one of the problems we had was that the Springboks had was around their scrum. Their line out this week really did work, did function this week, which was great. But the scrum didn't, and the scrum didn't purely down to Dreyer. In the end, he gave up 4 penalties at scrum time, and in the first half, the South Africans only gave up 4 penalties in total. 3 of them were from him. compared to 8 from the All Blacks. So they're getting the upper hand in that kind of area. Their defence was on the whole good. They only led in a try from a charge down. They were kicking the ball too much though, and that's what gave, in the first half, the All Blacks more of the territory and possession. In the second half, the Springboks basically took that kicking out of their game, and hence we saw a big jump in their possession and territory, which they then dominated in that second half. And whilst both sides had the same number of tackle attempts in the first half, suddenly in the second half, the All Blacks had to make 50 more tackles. So this really was an attritional game there. I think the Springboks perhaps were running at players rather than the gaps a bit more, and were keeping it too tight. If we look at I think, I can't remember, it's probably the first off when I saw this, or it must be the first off because it's when Miller's Scudder went off. But I tweeted out that the two wings had made something like 3 runs for 3 meters in that first half. In comparison, the two wings of the All Blacks had made something like 15 or so runs and had made it like over 100 meters. So I do think the Springboks were playing too narrow. And whilst a lot of people are talking about how Serpentine's had a couple of really good games, he has, but he's hitting contact, and he's not passing the ball. You know that you don't have to worry too much defending wide when he's playing in there. Or Glennie is the same sort of player, and was saying similar thing at the Rugby World Cup in UK, is that the ball doesn't get past the inside centre. So defensively, you can have a couple of extra players in there to make those tackles, because you know it's not going to go wide. The Springbok wingers effectively were pretty much not used during this game. In the second half, I say the Springboks cut out that kicking. They put some pressure on. They got through the phases and got a good try against the post. If we look at the All Blacks tries here, the All Blacks scored for a charge down, an intercept, and a counter attack off one of the kicks. The All Blacks really did struggle to break down the South African defence. Yes, South Africa missed a whole bunch of tackles, but the line bent and didn't really break on the whole. Whereas the All Blacks really have struggled to create the broken field play that they need. When both sides did this, both sides really didn't commit to the ruck. Had 13 men pretty much standing on their feet the whole time in a defensive line, and it's very difficult to break down. And the Boks had similar problems. The only time they really broke the line was when Pollard attacked the line, got past 3 players, offloaded, and scored a try. Wonderful bit of play by him. There are the tries that came from, I say, bashing away the line, lots of phases of play, and then also from a line-out maul. So both defences played well. Both defences contained the opposition for the majority of this game. And I think that's where I was a bit surprised we didn't see more contestable kicking from the All Blacks, which is the other way that they've historically produced or a broken field play, is to get the kick, win the ball back, and then create a broken field play that way. And we didn't really see that from them today, which I would say I was a bit surprised at. I thought we would have seen more of that from them. So let's get on to so as I said, both sides didn't really break down the other's defence, and I said the tries came from from bits of brilliant play. One by Pollard, the other one otherwise by Havili and I've gone black. I want to say Miller's Scudder, but that's the wrong person. It's Amy McKenzie who got some good, who stepped on player and then gassed it to the line. Pace was really what won the All Blacks this game in the end. One from Rieko Ioane's intercept try, and then also from Damon McKenzie's one as well. And then it also, you said the first one as well, because Barrett needed pace to mix things up to allow Crotty to get that touchdown from the charge out. So pace was really what won the game, what allowed the All Blacks to get the points on the scoreboard. Let's talk about that red card then. Sopoaga gets the ball and goes for a drop goal. And a very rare thing for the All Blacks to do, and he missed it. It's rare thing we don't see that many of them in international rugby. At the time, Delaney's gone up to try and block the kick. It comes down, takes 3 steps, and then hits Sopoaga late. And the important piece here is then he also brings his arms up, and then with his elbow makes contact with the upper area of Sopoaga. This was a silly thing to do. Yes, and the way it's running, I think it would be very difficult for him to avoid hitting Sopoaga. So yes, the contact piece, yes, it's late and should have been a penalty, but I'm not that piece. I'm not too worried about. What his big mistake was putting the arms up and pushing away at Sopoaga rather than just holding him upright. If you hold him upright, I think he might have got away with it entirely if you just wrapped his arms and just held him, not tackling him. But the raising up and then pushing the player over makes it definitely a penalty, probably a yellow card. What he then got unlucky with was kind of where the contact was. The contact was around about this area. Didn't really appear to be that clear to me, but the TMO and the ref decided that it was contact with the neck, and because it's forceful contact with the neck, as in pushing the player over, basically that makes it a red card under the current rules. I can see how they got to a red card, but for me this was much more probably in the yellow card area as to being reckless or rather than kind of dangerous. But intent, unfortunately, is something that we can't have in the game. But to me, it was more chest than neck. They decided it was neck, and that's kind of, I guess, where the difference comes into it as whether as to the severity. Yes, it feels like a soft red card, but red is what they went for, and I have to say I think that was tad harsh, and it should have been less. Did it impact the game? Not really, because as in it was definitely a penalty. I think most people will agree on that. And then whether it was a yellow or red card doesn't impact the game because it was in the last 10 minutes. The player wasn't coming back on the pitch either way. So from that point of view, did it alter the result by it being a red card rather than a yellow card? No, because he wouldn't have come back. But I do think it was reckless. So I could see where the card came from. Definitely where the definitely probably should have been a card. He should have held the player, not knocked him over. We did have lots of feisty bits, but that was mainly in the first half, and the sides did settle down, and it didn't continue all the way through the game, which was good to see. But that's how it went. So those are the kind of I think the main talking points from the game. Governor Riffraff, yeah, it was raising the elbow that did it. Yep, very true. It was there. He also says that he always felt the South African performance in New Zealand was just a horror match. Yeah, yes. In New Zealand, the defence didn't work out, and South Africa had some good possession, but just couldn't take any advantage of it. They didn't take that many opportunities in this game either. Let's be honest, but they did. But they did defend much better and didn't allow the All Blacks to take their advantages or take advantage of it in the other way. So those are the main points. If there's any other points you want to make, let me know in the live chat, please. Don't forget, please, to subscribe to the #Rugby Chat podcast. I will be back again after the Argentina versus Australia game with my post-match reaction to that game. And also back every Tuesday at 8 p.m. with the #Rugby Chat show. Today, I also went to the Northland versus Hawke's Bay game. Went off Tanifar hunting. And got to talk, have an interview with their assistant coach about how they've turned things around up there after a couple of losing seasons. So please look out for that article that will come out next week on the DrivingMaul blog as well. So drivingmaul.com for that one. Thank you all for joining me, and so I'll be back in a few hours with after the next Rugby Championship game. Let's hope it's as much of a cracker as this one has been.